Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and the return to the channel of an old favourite constructor of mine, RockyRoer, the American math teacher, with a fog of war puzzle with the most remarkable rule set, actually. The basic idea is that under the fog there are some cells that are special cells. So say this was a special cell. If that's a special cell, then all of the digits in sort of normal reading order up to the special cell would sum to a square number. And that's basically the rules. I mean, there's a couple of rinky-dinks on top of that, but that's the rules. This has got recommended to the nines to us, and apparently it is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, it's fascinating. If you've never seen Fog of War Sudoku before, you're in for an absolute treat. This is the perfect marriage of Sudoku solving with computer solving, because the idea is, say you got this digit and you identified logically what it was and you entered it, then it will clear the fog away from all of the surrounding cells. Now that does lead to a temptation on the part of some people to cheat, because if you do enter all the digits into the central cell, one of them will be correct and it will clear the fog. That is not how RockyRoer has designed the puzzle. The idea is that we will use the information we've got to logically deduce things and then gradually fill the puzzle and reveal what's behind the fog in the order that RockyRoer intends us to. So it is a wonderful innovation, and I'm looking forward to trying this puzzle out, and I'll read you the rules properly in a moment or two's time. I don't have much news for you today, just a reminder that coming up very soon, on the 1st of July, we have a brand new Sudoku hunt coming up for you on Patreon by Paws. It's a 6x6 Sudoku hunt, so lots and lots of 6x6 Sudokus to solve. And in general, this hunt is probably easier than the last few hunts that we've done. So the idea is that everybody should be able to have a go. I mean, we're getting into the holiday months of the year, aren't we? So everybody should be able to have a go. Everybody should be able to finish it, and everybody will be able to have fun. So a huge thanks to Paws for creating a very, very cool hunt. And yeah, that's coming up in just a couple of days' time. Other than that, birthdays. I have got birthdays to do. My phone's flashing at me again. Let's ignore that. Right, we'll start with Lassie. Lassie has turned 26 today. And Lassie, I know this because your sister Erica wrote to us. I know Erica is Finnish. Well, you're presumably Finnish as well, Lassie. Erica is Finnish but living in Germany. I'm not sure where you're living. This was not revealed. But I do know that Erica didn't know you liked variant Sudoku as well until recently. And she discovered that the two of you are watching Cracking the Cryptic sort of independently, which is wonderful. It's wonderful to hear. The spreading of the word about these wonderful puzzles is just a joy to us. And Lassie, I hope you have a brilliant birthday today with, of course, lots of chocolate cake. Now, next, I'm late with this one. I'm very sorry. Lily, you turned 18 yesterday down there in Australia. I know this because your mum Rebecca wrote to us. She wrote to us in good time. It's my fault that I didn't do the announcement in time. And in fact, Rebecca shares a birthday with a certain Simon. So Rebecca, I hope you had a good day back on the 8th of June as well. And anyway, Lily, I know you're at university at the moment. You're away from home, but your mum wanted to wish you many happy returns on a very big birthday, the 18th, and I hope you have chocolate cake, of course. Well, I hope you had it yesterday. Maybe there's a bit left over and you can have some more today. Anyway, that's all the news. Let me read you the rules of RockyRoer's puzzle, Square Numbered Fog Totals. It's a very descriptive title today, and these are the rules of the puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Placing correct digits will remove fog from the surrounding cells to reveal more clues. Somewhere in the fog are 9 marked cells, 1 in every row, column, and 3x3 box. These cells must contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. For each marked cell, the sum of all the digits in the cells up to and including the marked cell top to bottom, left to right, as one might read, must always sum to a square number. For example, if row 4, column 2 is a marked cell, let's pick a colour for marking the cell. We'll pick red. So if this is a marked cell, then the sum of all the digits in row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, column 1 and row 4, column 2 must be a square number. So I think we're going to have to deliberately use the secret today. If you don't know the Sudoku secret, do not worry. I share it with my favourite people occasionally on the channel. And if you're watching the video, you're definitely one of my favourite people. So you're about to find it out. Do have a go though. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I mean, let's just deal with that. The secret, of course, is that a complete row or a complete box or indeed a complete column of the Sudoku will, if correctly completed, contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. You sum those digits, you get 45. So, if we were thinking about this cell being, a marked cell, then we know that the first 3 rows of the grid would sum up to 135, because that's 45 times 3. So the sum of these two squares would have to take us up to not a prime number, a square number. So 130, we could do 144, or what's the next one? 13 squared, 169. 169 won't work. We can't get from 135 to 169 in 2 cells. So this would be, well, what would happen? This would be these would have to add up to 9 is how it would work in order for that, if this cell was a marked cell. Anyway, so that's a secret. We've shared that. I mean, it's actually pretty remarkable that you can even start this. So presumably the idea is that because we can't see any marked cells in the 3 by 3 we're given, that's going to be important. So in row 1, well, we need any square number lower than 45. There's a lot of those. 1 is a square number, isn't it? So if that was a 1, that would be okay. 4. Hang on, am I getting this wrong? So if this is a marked cell, that was how it would work. So if that's a marked cell, it would have to be a 1, I think. No, that's not true. What if that was a marked cell and it was a 4? Then that would work. If it was a 9, that would work. Oh goodness, okay, so 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. Okay, so we go... So the number that's squared in this row is a number that's no higher than... Or the sum of the... No, see, I'm not thinking this through clearly. I don't really understand the rule yet. I do understand it, but I haven't internalized it. Yeah, so the sum of some number of digits along this row, and it's either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 8 digits. It's not here, is it? This cannot be the marked cell. Because if that's the marked cell, what we're saying is the sum of all of those cells, which we know to be 45, is a square number, and 45 is not square. So, right, okay, so what we should do is we should mark off in the grid cells that we know are not. You see, 90 is not square. 135 is not square. 180 is not square. But 225, which is this digit, that is square. So does that mean that that has to be a marked cell? Or is that... Have I totally misunderstood the rule? Maybe it just means it could be a marked square. Not sure. I do know that if this was a marked square, it would be correct. Because it doesn't matter what digit is in this square. The sum of all of the first 5 rows of the grid is a square number because it's 225, which is 15 squared. But I don't think it has to be. So, okay. So let's keep going then. After 225, we get 270. That's not square. 270 is not square. 315 for this one. 360, that's not square. And 405, that's not square. But hang on. Okay. So now I understand. Okay, so it is legitimate to say this is a marked cell, because I could have done this earlier, because all we're doing, we know there's a marked square in column 9, don't we? That's what the rules say. There's a marked square in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box, and the only square number in normal reading order that corresponds with one of these digits is that one. This is really clever. This is already really clever. I mean, I've not used the cells that are revealed from the fog, but I have actually made a bit of progress here. So there is definitely a marked thingy in one of these, marked thingy in one of those by Sudoku. Okay, so now, yeah, we can probably do some work on these, because if that is a marked cell, then what square are we looking at? This can't be 25, because we can't make those add up to 25, because then that would have to be 20 to make sure the row added up to 45 and accorded with the secret. So this would be a 36. If these sum to 36, that would be a 9. So that's definitely possible. If this one is a marked cell, then we know it's somewhere quite close to 90, don't we? So could it be 81? I feel like 81 won't work, because if this were, yeah, if that's what do we call it, a marked cell, we're saying that these cells sum to 81. Well, if 81's the number, and that would be a 9, because we know the first two rows sum to 90, and we get repeated 9, so that almost looks like what this 9 is doing. Now, what's the square below 81? 64 doesn't work, because this would have to be too big. It would have to be a 26, and it's not a 26. So that square actually turns from red to green. So I was about to say the prime again. The square in row 2 is quite early on, so it's a number. Oh, I see. It could be 49 and be very early on. 49 if it's 7 squared. If it's 8 squared, it's 64. So it's one of those. It's either 49 or 64. What about this one? Let's have a think about this one, because this must be close to 135. So it would have to be 100. No, that doesn't work. Wouldn't that have to be 121 then? Or have I gone mad? If that square represents 135, and this is one Sudoku digit less, there are no squares within that panoply of options. So this is not a red digit, and therefore this is a red digit, and therefore this digit, well, it's not this digit that's interesting. We know that the square we're looking at is 36, and this has to be a 9. Let's see. Yes. Oh, now what's happened there? So what's happened under the fog there? Oh, I see. It's just sort of outlined the cell, so it marks the cell by putting a second box in there. Right, but now we've got a 1 and a 9, so there's a 9 down here. Sorry, it sounds like we're about to get some gardening noise coming past my window. I'm sorry, it's not Maverick today. These squares are now all green. So one of these squares, yeah, if we look, we know that we know there has to be a marked cell in box 2, and it has to be in one of those now. So that's probably important. If it's this one, we have to include a 9 in the total to the left of it. So if we had 90 here, it can't be 100. It can't be. It would have to be 121, wouldn't it? Is that right, or is that, am I messing up my maths there? Yeah, if this represents 90, this square, given there's a 9 in one of these, if this was 9, 1, 2, 3, that's the least it could be. That would be 15 more than 90, which is 115. So it has to be a square that's bigger than 115 if this square is the marked square. So it has to be 121 is what we'd be learning. That looks very likely to me, to be honest, because then these squares have... Oh no, hang on, no, it doesn't work. No, my maths is wrong. Because if this is a marked cell, we are heading for 121, because 100 doesn't work. But 121 is too big, because that would imply these 4 squares add up to 31. And the maximum 4 different Sudoku digits add up to is 30 if they're 9, 8, 7 and 6. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. So this is red. All of these squares now turn green. There is now a red in one of those, which does correspond to 100. That's doing something, given there's a 9 down here. And what does this correspond to? Well, this is a number... Well, this isn't 49, this is 64 now. I'm actually going to write that in so that I don't forget it. So I can't write it as 64, because if I do, look, it'll reverse because of the way the numbers work. So I'm going to write it like that. So this is representative of 64. And as this is 45, that means these 4 squares add up to 19, not including a 9. And I think that's a very average total. I mean, an average Sudoku digit is a 5, and 4 times 5 is 20. So this is very close to being an average number for its 4 digits. So probably we're meant to look here instead. So what are we saying? We're saying this is 100. That's what we're going for here. Well, we can't reach 100 if that's the marked square, because it can't be a 10. So that is not the marked square. Now, if this was the marked square, we're either saying that these 2 squares add up to 10. Well, no, that's what we are saying, but we don't know whether there's a 9 in them or not. Oh, no, we do. We do know one thing. We know that's not a 9. Yeah, we do know that's not a 9. Because if that's a 9, given we know we're heading up to 100 total, because 10 squared, this would be a 1, and it would be the same as that. And there's 1 of every digit in a marked square, so we can't repeat another 1. So this is not a 9. But if that's marked and it's a 9, that could be a 1. And if that's 9, then all we're saying is that... Well, then we're saying this wouldn't be red, but we're saying those 2 squares would add up to 10. And that could be just about anything. How absolutely bizarre. Right, but that square's green. But the rather worrying thing about this is that I've got nothing else to go on. So it's going to have to be... There must be some restriction on the squariness. Like, oh, well, okay, I've not done the calculation yet, but let me say that I can believe that, actually. Because obviously the bigger number that you square, the bigger gap you get between the squares. So it's possible, actually, that some of these larger squares will not have that many options. Right, well, let's work this out. So what have we got here? We've got 135. So the square that's occurring in row 4 could be 144. If it's not 144, it's 169 or 19. It's not 196, which is 14 squared. Now I'm going mad because I'm thinking it is 14. I know 196 is 14 squared, and that 196 is more than 180, which is the sum we'd get to by this point in the puzzle. The first 4 rows, 4 lots of 45. So we're either looking at 144, which is 9 more than this digit, or 169, which is 34 more. So it would be, yeah, I mean, I don't see how I know. That seems entirely plausible to me, I'm afraid. What was this? This was 15 squared. So 16 squared, is that 256? I think it is. That's what my brain is immediately going to. I mean, I know I should know these off the top of my head, but I don't revise squares very often or have cause to use them. So I'm going to... 256 feels right. I'm actually going to have to work it out to check, though, aren't I? 96 plus 160 is 256, yeah. Okay, so... okay, so 16 squared would be 256, and 17 squared is 289, and 289 is too big. Right, so in row 6, the number we're heading towards is 256, and the difference between 256 and 225 is quite a lot. Yeah, this is it. This is really good. Because it's 31, isn't it? And if it's 31, I can't possibly have the red square in those squares because I can't fit 31's worth of digits into these squares. So it's there somewhere, which means these are green, these are green. The total here is now, what were the options here? 144 or 169. 169 is too big, isn't it? 169 compared to 135, yeah, that doesn't work. So it's 144 is the total here, but the thing is, I don't know which of these squares it is. So I'm going to put all 3 of them like that, and then I'm going to try and 144, I'd have to do like this to make it, because otherwise I can't show it. So we know that the total we're going for here is 144. Now, I don't know what that means. And what was the total here? 256. So I'll put that. Well, I don't know where to put it. I'll put it here. 256 is actually in order, so I don't have to do any messing about with that. So the total for this is 256, and however many digits we use, we have to get to 31. Right, and then where do we go? So we're then at 270. So we need, 289 is going to work in this row for 17 squared, or 324. And 324 is that too many? It is too many, isn't it? If this is 270, 324 is more than 45 away. So this row is 289. And it's 289 versus... So it's a 19 sum. So it can't be there, because we can't make 7 different digits add up to 19. So that's definitely losing, not its religion, but its possibility of being a marked cell. Now, this also can't be a red cell, because that would be 6 cells summing to 19, and the triangular number for 6 is 21, so that doesn't work either. This one could be, and if we're looking for 19, so it's actually, it can't be those two. Those two can't add up to 19, so it's one of these two. That's really interesting to me. That's right, is it? Have I messed up the maths? 225, 270. We're going up to 289, 19. Yeah, I think it's right. Okay. Okay. I don't know what this means yet. So, we're going to have to now presumably work on this row. It's very odd, this, actually. I'm a bit perturbed by this, to say the least. It seems very strange that this is going to resolve. But okay, we know this one is 289. Let's put that in low digits. But by the time we get to this square, we know we're on 315. And if we're on 315, we need... Oh, 324 is going to work very nicely. In fact, it's going to be 324, because what's 19 squared? 361. 361. What did I say we're on at this point? No, because that's too many. That's going to have to be down there if it's anywhere at all. So we're on 315, and we have to get to 324. That's only 9. That's only 9. So all of these are out. They're impossible. And that means that that is apparently a digit, a special digit. So that's a special digit. And that is going to have to represent... Ah, okay. So I'd not thought of an option here, but I do understand what this has to represent now. This has to represent 420 squared. I thought we were going to get 19 squared in this row, but we're not. Because 305 here, no, 315 here, plus 45 is 360. Ah, I'd missed an option as well. Well, okay. I mean, it's fine. 360 could have worked if this square was a 1 and was marked, but it couldn't work because of that. So in fact, so maybe I could have done this a different way. If I'd known all my squares and thought about all the sums of these, the moment you get a 1 here, you can say that the square, the marked cell in the bottom row, can't be here, because that would have to be the marked cell for 361. So you'll have to be heading for 400. Once you're heading for 400, you know it's not this square, because that's 405. That's how many digits there are in Sudoku. And that's just the secret 45 for a row times 9. So you'd have to go not here, because that would repeat a marked cell in this column. You have to go here, and these have to add up to 5. So they do add up to 5, which means they're 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s. That can't be 1. This can't be 4. That digit we haven't got a clue about. It's interesting, actually. The marked cells themselves you don't really know anything about. It's more the balancing act that you have to perform with the rest of it. Now, hang on. This now seems to be the only possibility for a marked cell in this box, which means that's a marked cell, that's not a marked cell. This square we know is representing 289, so we now know those 5 cells are adding up to 19. So they must include a 1, because 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 add up to 20. We know that because the triangular number for 6 is 21, so if we miss out 1 digit from that, we'll only get 20, obviously. This square is... Oh, so that's 256, which means these are 31, which means these are 14 by the secret. This is now not in. And now we just have to work out... Oh, this one was 9, wasn't it? Because we know that's 315, so we know that this... We're going to 324, which is 18 squared. And the way we're going to get there is possibly we could have a 9 here. Or we could have these 2 squares adding up to 9. Or these 3 squares adding up to 9. how we actually... We don't learn. These digits are not useful. Oh, I'm confused now. How do we do this? Have I missed a rule? I just know these are all different. But that can't be useful yet, surely. Can it? Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't understood this at all. So I know that one of these is red, and whichever one it is, it has a sum to 9. So if it's that one, those 3 squares sum to 9. If it's that one, these 2 squares sum to 9. If it's that one, that is a 9. And I haven't had a red 9 yet, so that's fine. But the same thing is going on there, isn't it? I.e. that could be a red 9. Or these two add up to 9, or that adds up to 9. But I see. Gosh, this is beautiful. Good grief. Right. So the point is that this is not a 9, because remember what we were looking at here. We're getting to 100, aren't we? So if this was a 9, we know that it's these 2 digits that are adding up to 10 to get us to 100. Which means that is a red square. Because that couldn't be the red square, because once that's 9, these would add up to more than 10. So if we make this 9, it's red, which means that these 2 would not be red, and to avoid having 2 marked cells in column 3, one of these would have to be a marked cell and be equal to a 9 and repeat the red 9 in this square, which doesn't work. So this is not a 9, is what I'm going to say first of all, which means that is a 9. And if that's a 9, which it is, it's not the red square, because these 2 squares can't add up to 1. So this is a green square, this is a red square. These 2 are not red squares, they are green squares. And now, these 2 squares add up to 10, not being 4, 6 or 1, 9, so they're 2, 8 or 3, 7. 1 is in one of these squares, 1 is in one of these squares. This is 2, 3, 7 or 8, and that's the special number now. But does one of these have to be a 9 now? That must be right. Okay, so we've found the red... Well, we've approximately found the red 9. Because it's not possible that both of these are red. So there's sort of an X-wing on the marked cells between those. And whichever one goes in column 1 is equal to 9. So one of those is a 9. I don't really know how to portray that, but it's true. And this is 1, 4, yeah, okay, that's just what we've just been discovering, so that's not important. These squares include a 1 and a 4, and they add up to 19. Right, so now we can look at these squares collectively, because we know that those 4 squares add up to 19, but 2 of those squares are a 1 and a 4, so the other 2 add up to 14, and they don't involve 9. So these squares are 1, 6, and 8. As a group, and we know that the 1 is on the left hand side. So this, okay, no, that's not great. All that's doing is saying that this red square is 6 or 8 now, which is not really very powerful at all, is it? What? I mean, how are you going to do anything here? Oh, okay, it's much simpler. It's much simpler than I'd realised. That square has been revealed by the fog clearance and doesn't have one of those funny square markings in it. So that's not a square. That's not a red square. That's a red square. This is brilliant, because then I think that's got to be a 9. Yes. Yes. Now that's a red 9. This is now not red. That's therefore green. This is now red. And in fact, we're now going to double click all the greens and get rid of them, because we've located our marked cells, which is it's a brilliant idea, this. It is brilliant. Now, hang on. Where did that... Oh, see, that 1's been revealed by the fog clearance. So that gets me a 1. That's going to clear all the fog in box 1. There's a 1 down here now. If that's a 1... That's not a 1. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Right. Do you remember when we were looking at these cells, we knew that the one that went in column 3 was summing to 9 in 3 cells? Well, now we know it's this one, but we know that this can't be a red 1 because that would repeat the 1 in red. So this is red, but these 3 squares sum up to 9 without using 1 at all. So they're 2, 3, and 4. It's the only way of getting 3 different Sudoku digits to add up to 9 if they don't involve a 1. Now, what's that doing? What's the sum here? Because these have to be bigger than they used to have to be. This was 225, 270, 19, I want to say. 19 in 5 cells. And the minimum these can be is 156, which is 12. Oh, well, doesn't... No, that's not even... Well, hang on. If this wasn't a 1, the minimum these would be 5, 6, 7, which is 18. That's too many, because I've got to add at least 2 more digits to that. So that is a 1. That feels right as logic. That feels logical. Let me think about that for a moment. I'm saying these 5 cells add up to 19. If this is not a 1, that's a 1. These would be 18, 5, 6, 7 as a minimum. And they couldn't be kept low enough. I think that's right. That feels right. Yes. Okay, good. That's revealed an 8 here. What's going on now? I want that to clear that up, but I think I'm going to delete that. I think that's going to confuse me. I've not even thought about this. 2, 5, 6, and don't think about it. Come and look at this one. This is where we're working. What do we now know? We know that we've got to get to 19. That's not a 4. These are at least a 5, 6 pairs, so these are 12 minimum. So these are 7 maximum without using a 1. I don't think that's... Well, I mean, I could pencil mark them, but I'm sort of reluctant to. 2, 3, 4, and 5 by the looks of things. We're heading... No, we're not really heading for anything clever. Ah, can I put 9 there? Don't know. Let me think about that for a second or two. If I make that 9... No, I can't put 9 there. Because remember, these are adding up to 19. So if this is 9, ordinarily I could make that work if these were 1, 2, 3, and 4. But that cannot be a 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's at least a 5 by Sudoku. So that cannot be a 9. Right, so that's 9. That's doing... Yes, that's giving me a 9 here by Sudoku. Again, RockyRoer, outrageous, making me do Sudoku. These squares are now 6, 7, and 8 by Sudoku. So these squares are a minimum of 13, 14. Yeah, this is now totally constrained. These squares add up to 19, but these are at least 6, 7. So these have to be a 1, 2, 3 triple. So these are 2 and 3. 2, 3 pair in red. These are 6, 7. So this is 8. There's an 8 here, so there's an 8 up here. This is a 2, 3 pair, so we can't have any more 2s and 3s in red. So that square is not 2 or 3 anymore, which means, and these two added up to 10. So slowly but surely we're making progress. 9, let's double click the 9s. Can we do, yes? Oh no, whoa, I got very lucky there. I almost wrote 9 in here on the basis that this couldn't be a 9. That is, of course, total nonsense, because this 256 is saying that the sum of this red one is 256 to here. Now 256 is against 225, so this is a 31 total. This is a 14 total. So it's very possible this is a 9. Let's just pencil mark the 9 in. 9 is in one of those two squares as well. 4, 5, 8, 9. So that square is a 4 or a 5 in this row. In fact, where is 5 in this box? Look, it's got to be vertical. Okay. Now, let's think about that. I mean, what on earth am I meant to do with this now? Is this... I don't know. That digit? Is that under some sort of weird pressure? It's not 1, 2 or 3 because we've already got a 1, 2, 3 triple. So that is 4, 6 or 7, I want to say. Which is of no use nor ornament. There's an 8 there looking at that square, so that's got to be a 6. Okay, that did something. That takes 6 out of that one. It makes that an 8, so that makes that a 7. 7 here, 6 here. We do a little bit of fog clearance. 7 is in one of those squares. This 1, 4, 4 can disappear, can't it? Because that was relating to this digit. What was this one relating to? This was 3, 1, 5, 3, 2, 4. Yeah, so it's like an anagram. This is 2, 3, 4, which is an anagram of 3, 2, 4, which is the sum of those. Well, it's the sum not of those 3 digits, but of all of these digits. That's rather cute. All of those. Sum to 3, 2, 4. Excuse me. Coughing into the microphone. Not good. Okay, so, if that's 7, that's now 4, according to my pencil marking. Now, if that's 4, we know those added up to 5, so these have got to be a 2, 3 pair, which means I now know that these squares are 1, 6, and 7, which means I know these squares are 4 and 5. 1, 6, 7. This one is not 6. These squares now are the other digits, 5 and 8, that we haven't yet put in marked squares. So, that's beautiful. Right. That's got a 4, 5 pair looking at it. So I think this is going to reveal fog, and it did. This is now 5 by the same principles. So we're slowly but surely managing to get our fog cleared. Now there's an 8 in one of those squares. Don't know what that means. We got a 2 here. Why have we got that? That is a question. Because what I can see that RockyRoer is doing is, as we gradually reveal the fog, we get these given digits which sort of help us with the maths. But yes, Yes, I want to say, wasn't this 256, or have I got the wrong row? 225. Yeah, these 6 squares were adding up to 31. So these are adding up to 14, and there's a 2 there. This is beautiful. Right. This is a 2. These add up to 14. So these 2 digits here add up to 12, but they don't use 5 or 8, so they're 3 and 9. And then actually I know the order. That's 9, that's 3. No 3 in the corner. It went the wrong way. So 3 is up here. This is 9 now, because I worked out. I don't know how I worked. No, it's just Sudoku. It's nothing clever. 6, 7. 167, 167. So these are 167 by dint of roping. So these squares are 5, 5 and 8. So I can do that. 5 there, 8 there. Not clearing fog, but I think that's okay. I think that's just because we've basically cleared all the fog from this part of the grid. That square's not 1. Where should we look next? We've almost, well, subject to any given digits that appear under here, we've sort of done all of the marked cells now. Which is slightly concerning, isn't it? Because I don't feel like we're very close to finishing. Oh, that's a 9 by Sudoku. That's great, because I got another given digit here, which is a 6. Yes, that's, you can see what that's being used for. So there is a 6 up here by Sudoku, which means there's a 6 in this domino by Sudoku, and we actually know where it goes. So this, aha, so that makes this square a 6. Have we got loads of 6s, or yeah, we do. We can put 6 up here. We can put 6 in one of those. We don't know much about 6s in the final 3 columns. Where's 1 in row 6? It's got to go here. That's useful. So that's 1 and that's 7. That's 1. That's cleared more fog. That gave me a 7 digit here, which is not quite doing. It's not quite doing what we need it to, but it's doing something. It's giving me another 7 in the grid. Can we do anything with this? Yes. Where's 7 in box 3? The answer is there. Where is 7 now in this box? The answer is in one of those two. Okay, no, it doesn't resolve. It doesn't quite resolve anyway. What about ones? I feel like we could do better with ones. Yes, 1 here. So that's 1. That's cleared the fog. Oh, hang on, I don't like that 6. That might be wrong. I was looking at this. Well, I was actually looking at those two, thinking that's a 6. That's total nonsense, isn't it? In fact, that's 7. So maybe we can do it a different way. That's 7. This is not 6. This is not 7 anymore. This is now 6. This is 1. That's 6. This is now a 3-5 pair. I shouldn't say it, but it feels like it's starting to be very, very kind to us. That's a 4 by Sudoku. This is a 2-8 pair. I can do that. So this is... oh, nah. I was going to say it's 3 or 5 and it's resolved, but I can't see how it's resolved. Okay, 2, 3 and 5 in this row. I mean, that's definitely not 8 for obvious reasons. So that's 8, that's 7, that's 7. So these are from, okay, so these are from 2, 3 and 5 by Sudoku. So the place 4 in that box is exactly equal to there. These are 2, 3 and 5 as well. So we've got loads of 2s, 3s and 5s to place. That's 2, 3 or 5. No. Okay. Where's 4 in this box? The answer's there. Which means 4 over here. No, we don't know. Well, what's going on? This is 2, 3 or 5. 8? Is it something to do with 8s? Oh, it must be. We must be able to do better with 8s. Yes, where's 8? 8's got to be here. That's now all the 8's done. 5 has to be here. in box 5. So this is a 2-3 pair. I'm not sure. Oh, the 5 and the 4 are resolved over there. And this is a 4-5 pair, which is also resolved. So this is a 4. This is a 5. Ah, okay. So maybe it's up here that this gets... Otherwise, we're going to have to do some adventurous colouring. No, this is good. It's still okay, because this 2 is making that 2, which makes that 3. So I hope that that's going to resolve things. It looks like it will. 2, 3. What a puzzle that is. That is absolutely brilliant. Wow. Wow. World class. RockyRoer, take a bow. That I mean, it's a bit mathsy. Not in any way a bad way. It's just more mathsy than the average Sudoku. But I loved it. I love the idea that you can, because the weird thing was, you could all but pinpoint most of the red squares just by considering the maths that is inherent in a Sudoku. That was what was so strange. It's very clever as well, the way that by just showing that these didn't have squares in, you could sort of force things at the top. But what was fascinating to me, and I hadn't appreciated at all before we started to work through it in the puzzle, is that once you get to some of the squares around sort of 18, 19, 20, they're very, very restricted using this rule in the sort of bottom few rows of the grid. I mean, it's really clever. It's really clever. I think that will be a very, very popular puzzle with good reason. So RockyRoer, take a bow. I love that. I look forward to the comments, which I'm sure will be very kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.